Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray. So for those who don't know me, uh I'm just a girl that likes to post and yap. Actually, I just like to yap. And this is one thing that I want to tell you guys because you guys keep seeing this haiku banner, but you haven't seen my study table yet, which is where I'm sitting at. I'm letting you guys have a view. This is my study table. This is what you guys are missing out on. And I there's no table here. So I can't like do this. I mean, I could. But this is like better anyways. And I like to talk about what I learned from life and share it with you guys because knowledge are meant to be shared. And I want to say, as always, these are just my 2 cents, and my life experience are genuine, and it happened for me, and this is what I learned from it. It doesn't have to apply to all of you, okay? You could have gone to similar experiences but have different reactions. That's what makes us all individually unique, right? But for me, I do like talking about my own growth, and because I'm an introspective person, and I'm sure there are a lot of you guys out there who have a lot of thoughts, but you never really got to share it, or you just want someone to make you feel seen and understood. So, my comment sections are always a safe space for you to vent, talk, ask for advice, like make friends or something, I don't know. Well, I encourage that positive space just for you guys to feel like you are seen and valued for who you are. Because in this video, I do want to talk about the topic of judgment. Judgment. Okay. It feels like a reward to actually be posting videos on YouTube. Because I remember, like, what makes YouTube quite different? It's like every app that you post. I mean, if you are the type of person to post, like if you post on TikTok, it's not really much of a big deal. Unless you got famous. It's like, oh, everyone uses TikTok. So same goes with Instagram. When you post story, everyone uses Instagram to post stories. But on YouTube, no one just casually use YouTube. Like that's the vibe, I guess. Like no one just post their face for like 50, like, because YouTube isn't that platform. YouTube is more like a long video platform. And I just love talking. So this platform is basically perfect, okay? So for those of you guys, okay, another encouragement, if you love to talk or whatever, you love to express your opinion, you can. And you are encouraged to, because when you watch this video, I want you to turn on your brain and use that critical thinking skills. Don't just take my words at face value. Think about it, okay? Whether it is correct, whether it applies to your life, whether this will actually help you, whether this is just another person experience, and you just like, okay, like, listening is fine, guys. Thank you for even listening. All right, thank you. You're even doing yourself a favor. This could be like a listening test. Anyways, I do want to talk about the topic of judgments, because this is something that I also know I also personally suffer with, and I'm sure most of you guys are too. This thing with like, oh, being a hater is kind of like a normalized thing now. Well, I don't have any like, okay. I'm not here to diss on them or like hate on them, because I do believe if you are a hater and you like to spread negativity, there's a reason. There must be like something that triggered you, that made you that way. Maybe you've never actually received the consequences of being a hater, and making fun of people are actually just like a normal activity. Who am I to judge, right? Who am I to say anything about being a hater? Because there's a lot of different people on earth. There's a lover, there's a hater, and well, you could say, like, if you're a lover and you're being kind to people, you could be taken advantage of. Just because you're kind-hearted doesn't mean you will be rewarded. Like, that's a concept that we just believe in. Like, for me, if you wanna be kind, just be kind. If you expect something to come out of it, no, because you don't know who you're living. You're sharing the earth with 8 billion people with 8 billion different mindsets, and most of them probably have ill intentions towards you, or a small amount. I don't know how many people, but there definitely are. So the topic about judgment, yeah, it could start from judgment, jealousy, but for me, in my perspective, how I view judgment is something that your brain kind of takes information where it just processes everything. So let's say you could see something, right? I read this from a book, actually. It talks about how nothing appears as it seems. Okay, I know that's it could use for a different context, but it's really hard to say it with words, describe it with words. So let's say, okay, this is a psychology book, right? Let's say to most people, this is like a normal book, but to some people, this cover is really ugly, and to some people, this cover is very nice, and to some people, they like putting stickers, like, oh my god, the stickers are cute, and some people just think the stickers are nuisance, or oh, why is the book so thick? What even is there? Like, psychology isn't even that. Like, everyone have their own opinions based on this one thing. But is their opinions facts? No, their opinions are not facts. Their opinions simply says something about them. People's opinions and whatever they say, every little thing about someone makes them them. If you want to get to know someone, alright, you would usually have to listen to what they would say about a certain thing. So this book is just like another book. Like, to you, it's just like any average book. Well, to me, I really like this book. Some people might think that this design is too simplistic because they don't like a simple design. They like something more, extra. Something more fancy. Well, that says that they like fancy things. So that's how it goes to you too when people see you. Let's say you're going outside and you're wearing a purple dress, alright? Well, people have different opinions about that purple dress you're wearing. Maybe purple dress isn't something that you always wear, or you don't always wear a purple dress, okay? People would see you, they would scan, like I was talking about judgment, right? So the thing is, we judge everything that we see, because the first thing that we do when we judge, right, is we judge by appearances, because that's what we see first. It's always about like what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we listen to, what we're feeling. It's because those are the very first things that signals to our brain. So we kind of just judge things on appearances. So that's why I said don't judge a book by the cover, because you see the cover first. Obviously, that's what people judge, by the cover, because you see the cover first. The thing that judgment teaches us is when you just judge things based on the cover, that means you don't look deep enough. It could mean that you only think on the surface level. You're quite maybe shallow-minded. I couldn't say, but if you really look into things deeply, for example, about this book, if you just look at the cover, I'm not gonna buy this book. I mean, it's quite ugly. But when you actually read into it, and it could be something life-changing to you, that what things teaches us. So when someone judges you based on that purple dress, just because, maybe they don't think that it looks good on you, honey, they don't even know you. They only know you based on what they see. They only look at that purple dress, but they don't see you, do they? They don't see you. They don't know you personally. They don't know what you've been through and everything. So people, it's a very common thing, even on the internet, everything that we see, like what we're seeing, like we're quite literally judging everything. Like, even if you're watching this video, you're like looking around the room, you know, maybe there's something out of the ordinary. That's also judgment. We judge things. When we want to drink something or eat something, we'll kind of smell. If it smells like, oh my god, this milk is spoiled. Is it called spoiled meat or rotten? Oh, it's spoiled milk. Or this food is rotten. You can't eat it, and that's judge. We as humans, we judge because it's our survival instinct. You know, it's what we do to survive. We would look at a surrounding. You know, we would judge it. Oh, this place is safe. The same way that we will look at people. When we like something, it usually tends to be because that thing is familiar or it feels safe. When you see someone that is more extra, or just someone like a drag queen, you know, you see a drag queen out of nowhere. Well, let's say you actually live in a conservative country. People will not receive that very well if you are dressed as a drag queen, because that's something that they don't see in like on ordinary days. People would give you like side eyes or like looks, because the thing is, they don't feel safe. Something about you dressing as a drag queen triggered something in them. It's a reflection. Everything that we see is somehow a mirror telling us that this is something that we like, this is something that we don't like, this is something that we don't have any personal opinion with. Like, I would look at anime figurines and I would be like, oh my god, I want it. It's a reflection of what I like. I like anime figurines. This book is written by Hemin Sunim. He's a Buddhist. He's very open to the teachings of other religions, and this book really opened my mind and made me a better person overall. Do not judge, so that you will not be judged. For in the way you judge, you will be judged. And by your stand of measure, it will be measured to you. When we are someone who's judgmental towards others, the person that we're most judgmental to is to ourselves. Because if we feel uncomfortable by seeing a lot of things, we're also not comfortable doing it. For example, oh my gosh, why is she wearing, like, why is she overdressing? Why are you overdressing? You see, overdressing is a general thing. Is overdressing, right? Some people like overdressing, some people don't, you know. So if you don't like people who overdress and you judge them because they overdress, like, in your definition, that's overdress. That's too much for you. It's overdressing. But for some people, they just want to enjoy life. And I mean, if you like, oh my gosh, I have to stop myself from judging. Really, what you have to do is like, just accept that. Oh, maybe I'm just a person who doesn't like to do that. It's not for me. Every time you feel like you want to judge people, just keep it to your mind, this is not for me. Every time you see a content that you don't like, you don't have to post hate comments on it. Or like, you know, when they don't ask for criticism, you feel like you have to. You know, people like to give their 2 cents, including me, yeah, of course. Sometimes things just aren't necessary. Spreading hate and, you know, doing destructive things to people while they're already struggling enough with these things, you know. Sometimes you think you're helping them. What you're doing is just making it worse. Sometimes when we see things, just take it as something, well, this is a reflection of who I am. I don't like when people overdress, and I don't like overdressing. This, for me, that is over. Maybe it's just not for me. You know, they still look good, just not to me. Including respecting people's preferences and their likings. Whatever they like, okay? As long as it's not harming anybody. And it's a very, like, I don't know. It could be like an obsession with cleaning the house. Like, I noticed something from people like cleaning or like organizing things. Like for them is something very therapeutic. There must be a reason to it. It's because they feel like they're in control of things. Like, for me lah. Because that's the same thing that applies to me. So if you're the person dealing at the end of judgment, what you're gonna do is just keep it in mind that these people don't know you personally, and they don't know you enough to dictate who you are or to define who you are. Unless if they're coming from a good place, well then you could listen to it and just do whatever you want with that information, because you're the one who decides it anyway. But if you're the person who's struggling with this judgment stuff, remember, don't punish yourself over it. It's not the judgment itself is bad, it's the approach you have towards it. Sometimes you get triggered by things because they want to keep you safe. They want to remind you, hey, maybe doing this isn't wise. Doing this will get, you will get judged by others if you do things that you love. Struggling with, you don't feel like you can express yourself and you ended up judging people who can express themselves. Well, let's just say if you want to become a person who is expressive, you can't, because you're still stuck in that judgment. Like, oh, you judge people like that, you don't feel safe becoming someone who's expressive. It also works the same way as the way you view rich people. Like, a lot of people want to be rich, a lot of people want to have financial stability, because you can like gain so much things from having financial stability. But the thing with people is, when you sort of view rich people as, oh my god, all rich people are very stingy, all rich people are very like they cheat, they do this with like illegal works, and they're manipulative. Chances are you're never going to be rich because you view all rich people like that. Our brain is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Our brain is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, our brain has that. When we see something enough, or like we see it happen, we'll believe it immediately. You maybe saw like a few rich people being in this way, and you have this prejudice towards them. Then you're not going to be rich, because you're judging yourself. When you want to be rich, you're thinking like, oh, if I be rich, then I'm gonna be one of those stingy people. It also goes for relationships, because you experience maybe, oh, if I've dated a really bad guy, or I've dated a girl that's emotionally unavailable, and you think about that for like, you generalize that for the genders, then it's gonna be hard for you to date, because that's how you view people now. And what I'm gonna say is just heal with that. It's okay. It's okay to come from a bad place, because you couldn't control it. You didn't know better. And you don't have to punish yourself, because people will do that for you. You don't have to blame yourself. A lot of other people can do it for you. That's what I've also heard. Let people do that job for you, the hating, the likes, whatever. You just have to be you. It's hard to be you in a world that wouldn't accept you as who you are as a whole, because people because when you don't know someone enough, you will have this idea of I'm gonna create sub scenarios that maybe fit them as a person. Well, that's a reflection of who they are, and they project it on you. They project their expectations on you. They project, they see potentials in you, because they think that, hey, if I were this person, I would do this. And you don't have to live up with their expectations, because first of all, they're not the one owning this body right now. They're not the one controlling it. This is your life, and they can control themselves. If you don't like what they decide for you, you don't have to do it, because it's like someone taking out their freedom from you. When you judge too much, or you get judged too much, it seems like someone is stealing that freedom from you, trying to stop you from doing what you think is right, from doing something that you think that being seen as vulnerable is just something that you can't handle. Well, it's just something that you have to go for. If you want to be someone that stands out, and someone you can't fit in, you have to stand out. Create your own category if you want to connect with people, because chances are there are a lot of people who don't fit in the same box. I mean, everyone doesn't fit in one box because we're all very different, but we have to feel like, oh, I have to become a certain way to be accepted. Oh, that's the thing with judgment. They kind of set us in a box, don't they? But we aren't. We're not born for that. We're not created for that. You're created to be you. You have these personalities for a reason. You have these certain mindsets for a reason. You're born with a purpose. And it's your own duty to find out what that purpose is and fulfill it. To have a fulfilled life. There's three characters you need to remember. First is your ideal self. Second is your self-image. Okay. So your ideal self is some version of you that you want to reach, yeah. Now you don't think like, okay, for example, like you're a very lazy person, but your ideal version is someone who's hardworking. You haven't reached the ideal version yet. And self-image is how you view yourself. It doesn't technically mean that's who you are. You just view yourself that way. And when it has a little, like, when your ideal self and your self-image, when they combine and it only matches a little, like you're only seeing a little effort into trying to be hardworking, there's gonna be an imbalance here. You're gonna feel unhappy and you're gonna feel like you have a low self-worth because you don't feel like you achieved that ideal version of you. While it also happens that if your ideal version and your self-image matches a lot, well, it's not one yet, but it just matches a lot, then you're gonna feel more confident about yourself because you are who you say you are. You're trying to be that person and you are becoming that person. Well, not yet, but you're starting to see improvements. You're starting to become more hardworking. You're becoming more of your ideal self, the version of you that you've imagined that you want to be. While the third category is like the peak. It's like the peak, is where your self-image and your ideal self is one. They're one. It means that this is who you are. You are your ideal version, and you would feel very fulfilled with yourself, and chances are you would be very confident. You would go into a room and make changes, like literally, just because of that aura and energy you carry, and just how happy you are and how satisfied you are with life, and becoming who you are, embracing who you are, because your ideal version is already who you are. When you have an ideal version, it already exists. It's just maybe you're not doing the things that they're doing. So if you want to become your ideal version, you have to start to be brave to do it. If you want to be someone who's more expressive, you have to do things that expressive people do. If you want to become an influencer, do things that influencers do. If you want to become someone who earns a lot of money, do what they do. That's how you start to become that ideal version of you. Anyways, there's also a quote that says, "The good life is a process, not a state of being." So whatever you learn from this, or whatever you learn from your experience, that's the meaning of good life. You give life meaning, because technically life is meaningless unless you give a meaning to it. Why are you still holding on? What's the reason of you still holding on? What's the dream that you had? What is still driving you? What is there to try? What is there that you haven't tried yet in life that you're excited to do? Those are goals. Those are all something that you have to search for you to have a more, it's like enriching your own life. Anyways, I have to put an video to the end now, and let's just say you have to start being more open-minded with yourself, more accepting of who you are, and embrace yourself, because it starts from within, right? But the judgment thing, if you're a judgmental person, of course it comes from within. You're projecting it to others. Your ego doesn't want to lose. Judgmental. Try asking yourself and try to heal. Try to ask. Try to be understanding, because those parts of you only want to be seen. And chances are you don't want to do the inner work. That's why it's easier to project your insecurities into other people. That's all, and thank you. Bye.